Good morning, everybody. It is Yom Kippur this morning, right? And I want to wish you a happy new year, a good new year in the book of life for this coming year. And I always think of this as New Year. It's the sort of academic calendar, but definitely this is, for me, when the new year begins. So we're very, very happy to share it with you. And we are delighted to have Mary Jennings with us from Ireland this morning. And she's a coordinator and facilitates or organizes the roundtable discussions for the Focusing Institute and teaches meditation, mindfulness, and focusing classes and many other things. Maybe you'll tell us a couple of them, Mary.
Okay.
So let's sit back in our seats and get ready for this experience that we have the wonderful continuity and the wonderful surprise of something the same and different every week. Okay, Mary, it's all yours.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's after 1 here in Dublin, sunny so far. And it's nice to see people, some of whom I've met before in various conferences and Zoom calls. And there's Natty that I recognize, and I think I've seen Alistair and Katerina, of course, who asked me to do this. So yes, as Lynn said, I'm now a focusing trainer coordinator. I am not in the caring or health professions per se. I had a career in business for many years, but always had focusing as a practice, and in fact incorporated into my work, facilitating groups and doing what I call spot the focuser or spot the focusing, trying to really understand if somebody was unclear, leaving them space to do that, protecting that space, and then allowing what wanted to come to come. So that's kind of how I've done it. And I've also been interested in TAE, which I'm still learning about, but it forms the basis of what Katerina asked me to kind of talk about today. Yeah, so some years ago, I wrote an article about, which seemed to resonate. I called it the tricycle effect, and I'll talk a little. It's really how I understood by observing unconsciously how somebody was really patient with their very disabled son, 50 years ago, taking in loving, patient way that a son cared for his son publicly. And how this came about is in a focusing way. One day, many years ago, I was obviously, something was bothering me. And as I sat down and had a felt sense of this memory came. This memory came of a man who every evening in our hometown, my hometown in small town in the west of Ireland, brought his son out for a walk, up and down the street on a tricycle, up and down, up and down, up and down. And it was like endless patience that he had. So something about that kind of patience, that kind of waiting, that kind of attention, hands off but attentive, seemed to be exactly what I needed in that moment, just for myself. And I'm sure many of you have had those focusing moments of when something like comes and you're curious, why am I thinking about that now? And that suddenly you're able to to sort of extract, if that's the right word, the pattern or just what you need. That's the kind of patience that I need. I've no idea what it was all about at the time. It was that whatever was bothering me has long since been satisfied. So I'd like to sort of talk a little bit more about that, and then maybe have a discussion and get to know your instances of when you've seen a kind of patience. But first, maybe we'll do a little attunement, if that's okay. So I based this on David Rome's wonderful book, the Body Knows the Answer, and he has a really wonderful attunement called GAP, Grounded, Aware Presence. That's just my phone falling on the floor. That sound. So anyway, so maybe if it's okay with you, you might kind of like, maybe it's early morning, kind of stretch, wiggle your toes, your shoulders, loosening up the body. And then when that kind of shakeout feels done, finding a comfortable seated position. And simply become aware of your body. Sense of its position, its weight, the space it occupies. And you might like to close your eyes or lower your gaze, whatever is comfortable. And bringing attention then to where you're sitting. Notice your body is supported by whatever you're sitting on. The weight of the body, how it's planted on the earth. And trusting yourself to that earth's solidity. Let your body settle, be at ease. And you might appreciate that simple sense of being bodily present here and now. You might like to say the word to yourself gently, grounded, grounded. Now bringing your attention to sense of hearing, allowing yourself to be open, sensitive to any sounds from the environment, maybe background noises that you don't normally hear. And you may note with a label, simple label, traffic, sound, or refrigerator hum, maybe birds in your garden or in a park nearby. Not being snagged by those, just noticing sounds. And a kind of a larger quality of silence around the sounds. Maybe sensing the whole space around you. And then beyond the walls of where you're sitting, really a large panoramic quality of awareness. And you might like to say, aware, gently. Now moving your attention to the center of your chest. If it's comfortable, you might like to place your hand over your heart or maybe just even hold your hand. And that quality of presence that's there. Alive, breathing, feeling, experiencing existence in this moment, right now. And then saying softly, present. And then finally allowing your attention to encompass the whole body sitting here. And saying gently, grounded, aware presence. And just rest there for a little while. Grounded, aware, present. And then in your own time, just gently opening your eyes and coming back into the room. And taking your time. This is a nurturing time for yourself. And then once more, you might like to even stretch, and we're all among friends, early morning or early afternoon, or just as we've yawning, stretching, whatever feels good.
That was beautiful, Mary.
Okay, well, thank you. And thanks to David, I often do that with groups, that lovely, grounded, aware presence. Okay, so are we okay to continue? Hi, Pauline. So yeah, since Katerina invited me to do this reflection, I've thought a lot about how I might do it, and I know it's based on an article I did many years ago, and I can still recall the initial experience. And I thought I'd actually read some extracts, pause, invite discussion, and then maybe in breakout rooms, maybe you'll have more of an opportunity to just reflect on your own experience. So my theme is about a kind of patience, and what I discovered about that from seeing it in action. So I think, as I said before, in the beginning, it started with a round of personal focusing. I was uneasy, hassled about something, and wondering how to be with it. And with the focusing attitude of allowing, a memory came from way back. I think when I was a teenager in my hometown. And I recalled every evening in the summer time, a young John Duggan, and I've changed the names, cycle up and down on the street on his tricycle. And his father was always with him. Now, John had a severe learning disability, never said much, never interacted with people, but he just loved this activity, going up and down, never straying from home ground. And his father was always discreetly behind him, helping him turn occasionally, but otherwise patiently being with him as he slowly, endlessly pedaled his way along. So I stayed with that memory. I had no idea where it came from. And there was a shift. That's how I need to be with myself. In that way, patient like that, discreetly allowing whatever it is, time to just be there, helping it along only when it's needed. So with that kind of patience, the whole thing was carried forward, shifted to the point I don't recall the details of what the trouble was. It's long been satisfied. That was the basis of this article that I did, and I decided I wanted to explore it more about what was this? How might I bring, as Jennings said, our experience is not just private, but we have something to bring to the world. We can expand, change ideas, concepts. But first, I just want to honor the memory. I don't know where those people are now. What became of young John and his dad. But I want to honor the power of focusing, pausing, allowing memories to come and paying attention to implicit richness. You can pass over things. You can go, what's that? Well, I don't know why I'm thinking about that. But it's amazing that the patterns in the story, being endlessly patient in that way, showed me how to be with myself in that moment. And I'm sure you've had such experiences and stories that we can celebrate. So I'd be just interested to know if something like that ever happened to you in a focusing experience. A memory came and it supplied what you needed at that moment. You'll have an opportunity maybe to think about it more in our breakout rooms, but I just wanted to kind of just pause and allow you to just reflect on that for a second. Okay. Will I head on?
Well,
Yeah.
I had a couple of associations.
Okay.
One of them, one of my associations was of talking to Gene, and a song would come to him and he would just sing the
Yeah.
song. And then he would say, well, why am I singing that song?
Yes.
And then he would focus on that, and of course it would bring next steps. And I was thinking how similar that is. Or also for me, dream images. I'll wake up with a dream image and
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
oh, what is that? But I loved your story, and I was thinking of all the different occasions or ways that can happen. And you had mentioned something about spot the focusing. Is that
Yes.
part of this? I love that phrase.
Well, is it that came to me later, but I think that I was unconsciously, I suppose it's unconsciously picking up what's going on. I think it's felt sensing. And then it's a bit like it comes maybe in a word or an image. For me, it came in that memory. But I can talk about that spot the focuser thing after as well.
Yes,
But
yes.
just to continue, it's a bit like, okay, that's my personal focusing, how it helped me personally, that memory. But as I said, I was studying TAE and I'm still kind of working on it. And I haven't had wonderful, great theories to enunciate, but I think there's something about if we actually expand what comes to us in focusing, we can maybe bring more to the world, not just to ourselves.
Yes.
And I think that's what Jennings is saying. It's like, well, what your experience has something valuable to offer. So explore it more, articulate something about it, and maybe there's something fresh and new of that lived experience. So that's what I'd like to take to the next piece for you. And so I began to think about what was it about that whole situation. And of course, Jennings talks about whole situations of me and that Duggan family back then in that town 50 years ago. What was it that was so striking? It seems insignificant in some ways, a father out with his son. But then, I think people with disabilities, they weren't really seen. The situation has changed, of course, drastically since then. But then maybe people would be in an institution. So what do I see in all of that? So I see a quiet air of defiance in this man, Mr. Duggan, as he walks steadily, hands behind his back. His presence is shielding his son from the well-meant mutterings of passing by. Oh, the poor lad. Father, I feel sorry for. Now I'm imagining some of this, but it's drawing out the implicit. And he's saying, in my view, no need to feel sorry. This is John Street, too. And he's keeping a respectful distance, allowing him his own space, tenderly offering him light assistance to negotiate tricky curves. This is my son, he does it his way, he says. And I think he was a well-known pharmacist, Mr. Duggan, and many people would come to him for advice. Back then, 50 years ago, maybe people couldn't afford a doctor. So he has a quiet authority that people know. So he's modeling, this is how you treat my son. I can't heal him, but he's to be treated with dignity and respect. And so he's saying that too. And I think all of that's in that situation somehow. So I began to say, well, how would I describe it then if I looked for the qualities? What kind of patience is that? So let me say what I'm drawing on that experience. I'm drawing on the felt sense of it. I'm drawing on the way TE helped me articulate it to say, well, patience is not only tender, respectful, and loving, it's quietly defiant. It knows how to hold its ground. It has a calm, silent authority that insists, by example, what must change. It empathizes with pain and suffering, but provides a way beyond endurance. You can trust its strength, its wisdom. It's always there, right behind you, offering you just the help you need. And its power is felt by others. It changes them too. So that's how I would now define patience of a certain kind. Not, as my concise Oxford Dictionary says, calm endurance of pain or of any provocation, quiet and self-possessed, waiting for something, perseverance, forbearance. Well, it's all of that and more. So in seeing an instance of it, I can draw out more and bring that into the world. So recall, I needed, in my original focusing session, something for myself. But on reflecting it, on trying to really unpack, or it's in the implicit intricacy, as Jennings would say, hopefully have added or brought something to the world that can be helpful or useful. So that's what I would say. So I can maybe make a little summary of that. Would that be helpful, just on a shared screen, and then we can?
Sure.
And maybe the next one. So that's what I just said. Okay, I also. And now I'm trying to go to the next slide. Yeah. So the dictionary definition was that calm endurance of pain, provocation, quiet, self-possessed, waiting for something, perseverance. But for me, it's evolving. It's not just passive endurance, it's active wisdom. There's an active wisdom in it. It's not waiting for change, it's showing change, a way of making it by modeling it. And instead of just quiet perseverance, it has silent authority.
Mm.
So that's what I'd like to just offer of how, when something really seems initially just for yourself, you know, it has something maybe to say about the world or to the world about, in this case, how we treat people, how we're patient with them, how we model it. That's my theory, for want of a better word. So I'm open to any questions or suggestions, and then maybe we can love to hear your own experiences, maybe in your breakout rooms. And Sashi's, yeah, Sashi.
What impressed me that you try to um, apply this on yourself. Like, oh, this is what I have to do to be patient with me. I need to have that kind of patience with myself.
Yes.
How did that occur to you? That to me is um, surprising, or is, you know, that you could have applied it to somebody else, but you thought, I need to be patient with myself.
And to me, that's focusing. To me, that's the kind of leap of, there's a felt sense that's not quite clear about, in this, it came in this memory. And so when I was patiently allowing it to happen, or allowing it to be there, sort of quietly saying, why has this come? Just, it's a kind of like, it's a bit magic, isn't it?
Mm.
In its own way. But it's like like the body knows the answer, as David Rome would say. That's how. And then, because it was interesting, or at the time I said, let me unpack it more and see if there's something here that's more generally available or applicable, or does it extend our understanding beyond the dictionary? And then we can talk about it more, nothing to do with me anymore, but just broadly, to be able to, if somebody said define patience, I could stand up, I needn't tell any story, I could just tell you what my definition now. So I think there's the two pieces. There's my own personal thing, and then there's the public.
Thank you.
I think that's such an important step that isn't well known in the focusing world. And then people study TAE as a separate thing.
Yeah.
Rather than the finding what it means to you. And then with that same feeling in your body of that, saying, what is the broader message here? What is the universal here?
Yes. That's the idea, And so I think people who are in the helping professions, you know what I mean? You're so close to many raw experiences of people, like what there's a richness that you can bring to maybe, old concepts, or that's what I think is interesting. That how do we honor our own experience, but not just for ourselves, but to bring something to the world.
I just want to share that this makes me think of when I really cultivated and started learning how to be present with myself. I was then able to be much more present with other people.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. So any other comments, or I have a suggestion for
Can I
breakout
share
room.
something, Mary?
Yes, please, Natty. Hi, Natty.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for bringing this. It brought so much for me. Just the word patience, and because for me it brought being able to be in silence, being able to be with whatever is there and allowing it to just be and
Yeah.
remain and explore without intervening that much.
Yeah.
Just allowing for whatever. And I had an experience with a client last week that was so amazing. It hadn't happened to me this way before. We were in silence for half the session. And it was, first of all, what came for myself was, wow, am I able to be with myself this much time? And then what that just being in silence, and it was not easy at some moments because we were on Zoom and this
Yeah.
person was walking in some place and we were having the session and they were walking, and that for me was, when you said patience, that for me was patience, but it had a quality of so much richness, and at the same time a sense of I could allow myself to be helpless. And when I say helpless, I'm saying, I don't know if it's exactly the word, but it's about not having to do something,
Yeah.
not having to say something, just holding the space. And that brought such richness.
Yeah.
So, and as you're saying this, and first what it brought for me in my personal experience, and then the broader message, the universal, about being with whatever is without needing to fix, to change, and to just be and be in a patient way.
Yeah.
So wow, it brought so much for me.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so that brings me, as they say, in a nice segue, because you might like to, and I don't know how many breakout rooms or how many people, but you in a smaller group, what's your experience of patience? Either a time when you really had that quality and what happened, what came, or somebody was really patient with you, or like me, you sensed a particular kind of patience that you weren't totally articulate. You weren't consciously aware of it, but you knew it. You sensed it in the body. So I'd love to take time for you to take time, maybe in that kind of focusing way, to recall an instance, either of your own patience or when people were patient with you or when you observed it. And what were the qualities then? We don't need to hear all the stories, but it's like, what were the qualities like? Not needing to make any intervention is what I think, or being with it, as Natty said. Would that be okay, or does that feel like a thing to do, or is that clear?
That sounds wonderful to me. And I'm thinking about, I was very intrigued with your discovery that there's a defiance in it.
Yes.
A doing.
Quiet.
You're not just waiting, you are waiting and doing something.
Yes.
And it reminds me of Jane Genlin's saying, it isn't what we're saying, but it's the doing in the saying, what we're doing in how we're being.
Yeah. And in the context, I think if I saw that today in my hometown, I wouldn't pass any remarks because the context has changed. You know what I mean? So I think that's also, it's a bit like it's mining, if you like, the particular instance or context, which may change. Not the same thing may mean different things in different times. But that's the wonder.
Yes. And it may be that as we focus on moments of patience, either with ourselves or other people or other people with other people, that other qualities may come to us.
Yes, that's what
be
I'm
unique
hoping,
to
you know,
us.
and to enrich everybody's understanding in the public way for this group of where we nurture those qualities. So I'm not in charge of the tech, so I think where Christine is doing that, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Christine.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Did you want 2 or 3 people in the breakout rooms?
Yeah, so you know, maybe whatever you usually do, really, or is it nice to do it with just 2 people and do a kind of a focusing turn and divide the time so you have time to do that? It's up to you as whatever. I'm here as on sufferance, so whatever you do normally.
Usually 3, but we can do
Okay.
2 if.
Yeah,
And would
sometimes
you like to
3 nice for,
participate?
yeah. 3 I think is always good as well, you know, in that there's an extra leg to the stool of presence. A triad, yeah,
Okay.
somebody, yeah. So let's go with triad. And
Okay.
about 20 minutes or so, or is that the right time, or have whatever. Again, I'll hand the timing of what you usually do over to your way of working.
I think we could have, actually, we could have 25 minutes. And then we'll have discussion after that.
Yeah. So is that clear? So it's really having an opportunity for you to recall your experience of what patience might mean, its qualities, either you see you know in yourself or in other people, or how people have been with you, and bring back that sort of what you've discovered in taking time to really have a felt sense of it.
Okay, and we may need just a moment when we get together of silence to recall that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mary.
I was just going to thank you, Mary, for just putting forth the word quietly defiant, because in my breakout room, I noticed that there is a wanting to explore further this paradox that just came up in me of how my body interprets patience as this very, very accepting way, so much so that I lose something of me, and how quietly defiant was this something in me that just said that, well, this has to be here too. So a holding both of those things that seem to be paradoxical in some way. So it's almost like, oh, so now I have to, there's something in me that wants to explore my personal experience of
Sense of that. Great. Thank you, Maria.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Pauline.
I'll jump in, trusting. I suppose in the discussion, it kind of unfolded or deepened, the defiance, so there's patience and impatience, so And the impatience, my impatience, it's getting over the fear of impatience, you know, getting over the fear of impatience.
Yeah.
So that I'm not blaming anyone or holding them responsible for my impatience. So I am, yeah, I'm curious about that. But also there's something about patience and dignity, you know, when I think you were talking, Sophie, it's like, okay, dignity, I wouldn't see it as defiant, but there's a real embodiment of a dignity of something. I mean, the words are just the words, but the actual qualities are completely different, you know.
Yeah.
So, and in the unfolding of it, I don't know whether you had said, Mary, and I find it extraordinary in this group, Mary and I are from the same hometown. You know, what are the chances? But
I know.
Ireland just isn't that big, you
And
know.
you probably even know the people I'm talking about. I thought about that. But luckily, I changed all their names. But anyway.
Well, I could guess, but it doesn't matter.
It's not
You know,
important.
yeah. But what actually came to me, Mary, was what you said about the culture, you know. So Banlaslo's the whole oh, she's gone. She's Banlaslo's the whole this and I don't know whether we'd be sort of the same age, but my sense is that you left the town a good bit before me, you know. So it's that defiance, you know, that I would speak from my defiance, but it would be really nothing to do with freedom, you know. It would be the shaming of the culture around, you know. So in the story of John's father, whoever he was, you know, it's sort of almost like defined of the shame, you know. So I think that in a way, this generation or us together, we kind of like, we have a new voice now because our a new identity, you know. So
yeah, totally.
yeah.
I mean, I was just saying that if I saw the same thing walking down,
Yes,
you know, I the street I lived on was called Society Street, which sounds like very posh, but it's actually the agricultural society was formed in the town. But anyway, in the street. But if I saw that, I wouldn't pass any remarks. It would be nothing
yeah.
now. But then, so the context, I think, is, as you say, important.
I'll finish with this. I've been struggling with the whole, you know, speaking out, fitting in and relating. And I think the world where we are, especially with, you know, American politics, that the cancel culture is so big that people are terrified. So even though we might have the words, it's the consequences of, you know, speaking out. I think patience is, maybe it'll bring you into it, but it's confusing. So anyway, I just want to say that I would love an identity of people not being afraid, or that, you know, we know what we're dealing with. It's very, very strong. Yeah. Resistance. So thank you anyway.
Thank you, Pauline.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I said in the group, and I was very happy to be with Mary, is in that story, the guy was protecting, that man was protecting that young boy's right to exist and his right to be who he is. And I think that's something, patience is quietly defiant. It's like, I don't have to let go of myself in order to be patient. I don't have to let go of something in myself. I'm allowed to exist. I'm allowed to be, I have rights. I think that was what came up for me. That boy has rights. He has the right to exist. That's what it came up for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of struggling with something to conceptualize it, but in this group, people can sort of take the seed of what I'm saying, and maybe you could do a better job. But there's something about how when we want ourselves to change or be a certain way, and we require it of ourselves, the self is defiant, says, no, I'm not gonna do that. because I have a right to exist. And maybe the patience is the patience with that whole process of the one part wanting the other part to change and the other part defying it. And there's something about patience with that whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
that whole inner conflict. Rather than feeling that the part that doesn't want to change is, you know, bad or holding us back.
Yeah.
If I can respond very quickly,
Oh,
what I
please.
really noticed in myself and the others in the group, Sophie and Mary, was that there was this willingness, this desire to go beyond that, and that desire is what provides that space, I feel, and the ability to move beyond.
Right,
Into
right.
it is the more, right?
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
And there was that patience all around and all about in that instances that I was bringing up, because I was with a TAE partner that was listening in a certain way, and I was in a TAE kind of attitude and mode, and so there was patience all around, patience inside, patience outside. There was a whole context, so true, to patience with time. That also is a big one, time. Like somebody was saying, I think Pauline, that's so interesting what you were saying, Pauline, about maybe it's patience that we need to bring more into this place we are in politically, where it doesn't seem like there is much defiance or speaking out, and yeah, patience is really something I can offer to the situation. Thank you.
I'm wondering if anything comes to you, Sashi, what's in the way of being patient with yourself? Or if there's anything more you would want to say about that, because that seems like a very basic part of this exploration.
You were asking me?
Yeah, I was asking you, Sashi, if you could say any more about that.
I guess I doubt that if, and maybe, it is my doubt that all of us have the quality to be patient with ourselves. I doubt that. I don't. And is it a skill? And is that something can be learned? I mean, we are in the profession of being patient with our patients, right? We are listening to the same story, and we are hoping bit by bit something will change, and we are paid. That we do that, we practice that. That is one of our things we sell in the therapy. But and the patients don't progress, then you say, I didn't do something right. Why can't I be more patient? And that is the whole big part of patience that we are stirring every day. And I forget very quickly to be patient with myself, period. That's it. I think that's it. Now everybody knows about me. But that's okay.
Nobody else forgets to be patient with themselves, right? Just
That's
cute,
about me.
Bessie.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could think of focusing as a practice, practicing a skill of being patient with ourselves. That would be a way of describing at least one thing that focusing is. What does that work for people?
That's nice.
Yes, works for me.
I remember Jennings' word, subversive. Could patience be
Yes.
subversive
Mm-hmm.
or obstructing the course of?
What's coming to me, it's that it's a lot about being quietly defiant towards all the old learnings and conditionings and patterns that we have to hurry up, that we have to that we have to fix, that we have to do, that we so I love that phrase that you brought, Mary, to be about being quietly defiant. And I think that's the focusing attitude. That's, as you were saying, Lynn, what is focusing? Yes, totally. It's like, and learning, and Shashi, I can so resonate with you. I have a hard time being patient with myself. I'm learning.
You are out too. Everybody's getting it.
It's so much easier to be patient with others, but it's about learning also to be patient towards these places and to be quietly defiant towards what wants to come as, you need to fix this, you need to change this, you need to, and just having that attitude of allowing, accepting, so different.
I just had this weird connection that I'm just going to put it out there, but I haven't explored it. But in the words, to be a patient and to be patient, somehow to be a patient of patience is a receiver of something. But I'm just going to leave it there. I don't know why I felt I had to articulate it. Maybe that helps to bring something more. But to be a patient of my patience, or that larger, what does that mean for me?
Mary, wouldn't that be an instance of what you're talking about when something comes to you and you say, well, what does that,
Yeah.
why do I have to articulate that?
Yeah. That's exactly, I would think, oh, God, I hope she just spends time with that, and kind of think, maybe, with a TA partner or something, saying, yeah, what is it? And I think Sophie articulated really well that having a protected space to talk nonsensically.
Yes. Well, thank you. This is
Go ahead, be nonsensical, because it comes out of a something that you're, inwardly then noticing, paying attention to, and saying, is it And it's almost like not putting you on the spot now. Do you know what I mean? To sort of take that away and do it, when you're having, walking the dog or something, rather than, I think that a lot of times our culture, at least the culture I was in business, was, well, say it now, be clear now, while we're on this meeting, that's what you have to do. Whereas you take it away, you have a protected space. If somebody will write, write down and reflect back to you, maybe. And it's something, I think the new came from there. And I know Sophie was in my group, but she articulated that really well, I thought.
Yeah, so it's very special to be able to put into a protected space that's something that is not clear. And I'm really surprised at myself in doing it as well. So that only speaks to the strength of the qualities that this group holds and provides for its participants. So
Yeah.
pretty special.
One of the things that came to me was Mary's story too. Was her instance. Oh, I got interrupted inside. Oh, that is mischievous. Okay, there is you've got my back. That was one thing, but I was going in another direction.
Got my back, yeah.
Something Mary said about receiving. Something about the patience. Maybe it's and then some. Sorry, I'm not gonna.
Oh, we're gonna let you have that space too. And I'm noticing that we're past time, so I'd love to have Dorothy's poem and Mary, thank you again so much. It was very rich.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. This poem is our friend John Donahue, who I know we love. And I just want to explain the term annum. Do I have that pronounced right, Mary? Annum Cara?
Yeah, Annam Cara. Yeah,
Annam
soul
Cara.
friend.
Soul friend in the Irish tradition. For friendship. May you be blessed with good friends and learn to be a good friend to yourself. Journeying to that place in you, in your soul, where there is love, warmth, and feeling. This may change you. May it transfigure what is negative, distant, or cold within your heart. May you be brought in to real passion, kindness, and belonging. May you treasure your friends. May you be good to them, be there for them, and receiving all the challenges, truth, and light you need. May you never be isolated, but know the embrace of your Annam Cara.
Thank you, Dorothy. It's a beautiful poem. We'll see you next week, and I'll be talking about what focusing can do for the social political situation and community empowerment. So see you then.